I'm going to describe a community of people, not an Anastasia settlement. So a group of people get together. They're way into natural health, healing, herbalism, and fruit juice. And they're going to set up a spa for people to come and get healed from their various ailments. So they have some money. They're going to buy a 200-acre chunk of land somewhere in Montana, zone 5, growing season, and like most land, it's going to have a rectangle, and there's a road. The main access road comes in here, and it has forested area. It has a rocky, it has rocky areas. Oh yeah, going back to that example we were looking at, one team had particularly mentioned using the rocks for heat retention and stuff. There's a lot of rocks in that landscape too to work with. It's got a stream that comes through, and then a lot of pastures, grazed pastures in the lower area. And so here's an example of how things develop over time on the place. Let's say it was an old ranch site. There's a cluster of houses not too far off the highway, so that was their original center. There's a road that comes into the site. And so one of the first things they do is establish a deer-fenced area for a nursery where they're going to grow their mother plants for their currants and their raspberries, their strawberries, on and on and on, currants, gooseberries, things that they can get propagation material from. And they do a little vegetable garden in there. And then out here they start doing some green manure, getting the land ready for planting out here. So they're using some equipment and till up some ground. The second year, they buy a lot of trees and they plant a live fence, a live deer fence here. They put up a permanent deer fence to start with, but then they plant a live deer fence behind it. And after 5 years or so, the live deer fence is strong enough that they can then take up the posts and the wires and then do another area over here. So over time, they're going to make more of their area deer-proof. They create some ponds in the landscape. And by capturing runoff from slopes, and from that they can do a series of swales across the landscape. Well, so they're doing swaling system, and then all along every swale, of course, up pops that forest of trees and things that they plant along it. Up here in the area, they can plant things like Oregon grape and many kinds of shrubs and berries and service berries, things that particularly like rocky areas. And if this is south, the south part in the thermal belt, this will be, the slopes kind of going up from the stream, of course. Here's the ridges coming down, so that they can get a particular types of plantings here where it's rocky in the thermal belt and grow. Remember I was talking about in the scree slope, you can plant things in the talus slope to get you get an extra degree warmer there. So they can plant certain things here. In the forest, over time, they thin a series of more or less on the contour, a road network that can come up into it. So there's roads through openings, and every time you make an opening in a forest for a road, it's a light well so that you can plant shade-loving but needing some sun things all along that road. So they're making strips of of open light coming into the forest to grow things like huckleberries, high bush cranberries. There's a lot of different fruits and shrubs that can handle that particular thing. So they're trying to diversify the habitat to get more and more kinds of fruits and berries in here. As things progress, the first couple of years they have light yields, but as things progress they have more and more yields of fruit and nuts. And so they have to expand over time, the community is going to grow in size because there's more production to support more people. And up here perhaps they'll make a bunch of yurts that are seasonal dwellings for people that come for treatment in their spa. And one of the things they prepare, they're going to make a commercial kitchen down here. And in that commercial kitchen they're going to be able to process these fruits and berries to make juices to feed people for their particular ailment. So there's herbalism involved here. It's not only fruit, but there's a lot of fruit fasts and fruit juice treatments. And there are many sources of information. Actually, I should put it another way. There's, where is that book? I mentioned this book here earlier, Fruits and Nuts by Susanna Lyle, actually gives the medicinal properties of all the fruits and berries. So this is really fascinating info. I have a book at home called something along the lines of fruits used in Chinese medicine. And it's a whole book on how the Chinese use fruit as a medicine. So there's a lot of grounds for this. There's a book, there's two books with the same title called The Grape Cure. They're just older books. And it was by a couple of practitioners, lay ladies, I think in both cases. They discovered that if someone had cancer, here's the theory behind it. You have cancer in your body and you want to get rid of that cancer. If you put the body on a fast and you do it gradually, you do a 2-day fast. You get your body used to it. You do a 4-day fast. You do a 6-day fast. You don't do a 2-week fast or a 40-day fast starting from scratch. You sort of have to get yourself up to it. And during that fast, all you take is grape juice, fresh grape juice. When you actually are taking, okay.
Sorry.
Can you just, yeah. The idea is that as the body is seeking new fuel to metabolize, to burn, to keep the cells alive, eventually it'll start dissolving fat cells, it'll start dissolving deposits of things, and eventually it'll dissolve, the body will not dissolve anything it really needs, any vital organs or anything vital, until it's used up everything else that is superfluous. The body knows what it... So the body will gradually dissolve things. So at the end of these grape fasts, the grapes are giving you still some nourishment and sugars, and they're also helping flush the system. So you're flushing out, and I'm sure there's other ways I would say this is not, don't try this at home without proper consulting your health provider. Eventually you will dissolve that tumor, that cancer, and you'll be rid of it. And by then, of course, you'll have dissolved and used up all the deposits of any toxins, et cetera, in your body. You're going to be in and then you gradually take in more food, and then you're back to vibrant health. So that's kind of the theory behind it. So at any rate, so they are doing various kinds of treatment with people, and they're gaining experience and knowledge, and there's a continual source of new kinds of fruits and nuts, because they are trying every kind of fruit and berry that they can possibly grow in this location. And they might as well put in a greenhouse here in one of their areas, a nice big greenhouse, so that they can grow fruits that you couldn't grow outside to increase their range of fruits. They're also going to have herbal inside the orchard here. They can have a lot of herbal understory, so there's a lot of herbs here. And because they want a lot of pollination to get good fruits, there's going to have to be a beekeeping operation over here, or in the place there's a beekeeping operation for the honeybees, because you've got a lot of flowers to pollinate. You need a beekeeper as part of the deal. And then you'll need, as you're getting more wood and other products in the system, as we heard in when was our speaker? One of our speakers really pointed out that a lot of the early fruit fall in the forest or in your orchard is diseased or has worms or whatever, and that you want the pigs in there to go in there and clean it up, the livestock to clean up at these flushes. So we're going to have livestock in the system to take, because the commercial kitchen here is putting out a lot of pulp, there's seeds, there's various other things coming out. So we could have, maybe in zone 2 out here, we're going to have a livestock operation. Chickens are going to have access to the orchards, so we might have several mobile chicken pens in the system. We have goats because they can eat the bark from things. They can help clear brush in areas. We might want to do brush control in various places. And so we have a variety of livestock in the system, so there'll need to be a place for the livestock people to live that are running the livestock. Eventually, if they're getting a lot of seeds out of here, let's say they had a lot of grapes because they're heavy on the grape cure, they might get enough grape seed they can start pressing grape seed oil out of as part of the byproducts of the seeds. And when you're doing all these pruning of these fruit trees, you're going to end up with a lot of whippy growth, pears and apples and stuff. And so you end up with a lot of weaving materials. So there might be someone that's weaving baskets that they sell. They're going to have a fruit stand out here where they're selling jams, jellies, juices, dried fruit leathers, fruit smoothies, whatever the market will bear, things to do with seed. But they could be weaving little baskets that the fruit goes out in. So we're going to need another dwelling over here for the weavers, and maybe a weaver studio here. And as these people, as their reputation expands, they might have to put in a couple other, increase the amount of huts they have for people that they're treating. And they'll eventually, because people are also getting education, they might need to have a school building where people go for classes that are coming in and doing the healings. And so now they have an educational place. And people now all of a sudden, their nursery, they have so much propagation material, they're cranking out a lot of nursery production, which they can sell here or online, or through the mail or the nearest town. So part of the system is that there's a lot of nursery production. So you'll need a couple houses over here for the people that are running the nursery production end of the business. As they get more knowledgeable about the fruit juice healing, people start coming here because they are one of the world-renowned leaders in how to do fruit healings and fast. Because there's not a whole lot of people out there that are really focusing on it. So they decide to start, so they're doing education, and so they decide to, and actually the nursery people are doing so good that people are coming in to learn about nurseries, people are coming to learn about the livestock, about the weaving. So they have an educational center going here. So they're, with the teachers, they'll need a couple more buildings over here. And eventually, because they have so much production that they have, and so much knowledge, they're going to need a publishing house here, and administrators and marketing people that do the marketing and prepare the graphics and put out the information, the website people. And so they might, might need a few more houses for those people. And anyway, so over time, the land is able to support more and more and more and more people. As this integrated system evolves, there's all these components there. And so we can take almost any kind of entrepreneurial idea with a permaculture system and build up something like along these lines. So that And I think everything I mentioned is all feasible and doable. And nobody's actually done this yet, so I'm hoping somebody starts one in my neighborhood. But so you start small, you keep adding on new elements, and over time, more and more and more people can make their living from one piece of land. Eventually, probably they're going to be hiring people from outside the property or starting a satellite sister community over here where they buy another piece of land because now they've generated the income to be able to do so. So that is sort of like your 25-year plan kind of thinking. Sound good? Tasty? Yeah, let's go do it. I want to live in a place that has every berry and fruit and nut possible on that site, so I can just walk around and eat them, offer them to have friends come over, be able to puff out my chest and say, look at wow, look at this, look what we did. Any questions about that or follow-on comments?
What was going to happen in the upper left? I saw the...
Oh, that was the forested area of which we're raising some fruit and berries even in the forest. And of course, since we're managing the forest, we're going to have wood products to help build the things. I didn't put any this system would have hugelkulturs in different places. So hugelkultur material can come out of here. And actually, this would be a place where maybe some of the people might live part of the time. There might be even dwellings up here for the hermit types, because every community usually has some people that just really don't like to be down here in town central. They want to be out on the edge. Like Bo would probably be up here.